last night we was kind of hinting around by the end of the show. Where the heck is Ted Cruz at? We heard too much news. Well, he been around. We haven't been paying attention because he's in the middle of a new controversy. Let's go ahead and get into it real quick. Ted Cruz and his podcast.
Ethics questions surround Senator Ted Cruz's fundraising arrangement with the company that distributes his podcast.
The company, iHeartMedia, employs lobbyists and senators cannot accept financial gifts from lobbyists.
And while Senator Cruz says he doesn't financially benefit from his podcast, new financial records are raising some eyebrows.
ABC 13's Shannon Ryan caught up with Senator Cruz to ask him about all of this. And Shannon, he didn't seem too pleased to be talking about this.
No, he wasn't. And the lines do get blurry here. So a PAC, which exists solely to ensure the senator's reelection, made hundreds of thousands of dollars through this deal last year. That's about a third of the funds they raised.
If you asked Senator Ted Cruz about his podcast,
this episode answers a lot of questions you have.
He'll tell you it is a service to constituents that he's not paid for.
Because the media doesn't report on news, and I do the podcast to talk to the people of Texas about the issues that matter.
But now questions are being raised as to whether Cruz has been using the show to bolster his own war chest. Our partners at the Houston Chronicle uncovered records showing iHeartMedia, the platform distributing Cruz's show, donated more than $630,000 last year to a PAC, which, according to its own website, exists solely to ensure the senator's reelection.
So if an entity which employs lobbyists is giving hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to your reelection efforts, how can you say you're not being compensated?
You know, it really is sad what's happened to the media, which is the media exists right now seemingly to parrot left-wing Democrat attacks. The group that brought that complaint, hold on a second, let me answer your question. You asked the question. I know you're not asking about it. The group that brought that attack is a left-wing Democrat attack group. And by the way, you know what you didn't mention in your question? The fact that they filed a complaint with the Senate Ethics Committee raising these same issues. You know what the Senate Ethics Committee did? They threw it out. They said it had no basis in law.
We confirmed with Cruz's campaign that he's referencing a 2022 complaint lodged with the committee, which challenged the podcast deal alone, not the money pumped into the PAC the following year. That has not been investigated, and iHeartMedia has said it's sourced from ad revenue the show is generating.
So all the Democrats are left to do is make false personal attacks, but the media, all right, I get you're going to carry their water, but my request to you is simple. Actually cover the issues.
Let me
when they get angry, you know you got them.
Let me add two more bits of information to it real quick. Number one, the man is doing 3 to 5 podcasts a week. So much for actually doing work as a senator when you're literally on your show at least 3 times a week. And number two, the U.S. Representative Colin Allred, as of right now, because I checked this a few minutes ago just to make sure, is tied with Ted Cruz for the Senate seat this election. So there you go. And this, yeah, you're right. You know you're on to something as soon as he starts getting riled up. And let me answer your question. Yeah, we know you're not.
This is classic move.
No, it's a move that you should see coming, but because
there's nothing you can do about it.
A lot of them
there's literally nothing you can do about it except for let them do their weird pivot and then bring them back, right? Because Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz, and mainly those two, those are the top two, I would say. You have MTG and Matt Gaetz and people like that do it too, but nobody can do it like them two. And so, yeah, that's cool. It's interesting, right? So they're saying that he's making money on the back end through his iHeart thing. And I'm like, I guess I would have to get a whole lot more detailed understanding of it, because on the surface, even though it's shady, I doubt it's unethical or illegal because it's just he's working and he's getting money. Like if you after you let Trump do the stuff that he's done and you let Nancy Pelosi do the stuff that she's done, it's real hard for me to get worked up over Ted Cruz, right?
Clarence.
Yeah, I mean Clarence Thomas outright paid for it. You know what I'm saying? Like outright. You know, the rest of them can try to pretend like they're not being paid for. But Clarence, you know, whatever. But yeah, that's the thing about that. I don't know how big a bigger deal this is, right? And then it's Ted Cruz. uh, my concern is really more about his race, where he's supposedly neck and neck with whomever. But I know I'm kind of bouncing around, but like I don't take a lot of stock when they report it that way, where it's a dead heat, it's neck and neck, because I've never really seen a high profile race that they didn't say was neck and neck. Like they have to say it to make sure people pay attention to it when they talk about it. They want the clicks, they want the eyeballs. And if they turn around and say Ted Cruz is ahead by 15 points, ain't nobody gonna catch him, story's over. Right? So I'm interested to see if he loses because there's so much that goes into it. Like on one hand, I often say the Senate is the most pure election that we have because it's popular vote. But there's a lot of games that go into it that it's still dirty. It's just less dirty than some of the other ones. So if Texas chooses Ted Cruz again,